So now we're moving on to another amazing speaker. It is David Norris, who is the creative director at Snap. His 99-second talk, before we go on to questions, is the fastest way to communicate. Again, we're coming towards the end of the day. After this, we're going to the, what's the word for it, amazing film from Roy Sutherland. Questions to him. So don't forget to ask your questions at the bottom of the screen, the Q&A box, type them in. So without further ado, we're going to go across to David at Snap. Your 99 seconds starts now.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, with 99 seconds to go, decided to talk about the fastest way to communicate, which is the camera. So on to the next slide, please. Oh, so the camera is kind of been there for a long time, but it can do so much more now than it ever could before. Like the way they're getting smarter and faster, the experiences it can layer on for someone onto their actual real world is kind of changing the game, and particularly when you see how we are kind of living at the moment. If you go on to the next slide, please. So there's a talk around kind of augmented reality being a bit of a kind of an experiment, but actually it's done at huge scale. So through the Snap cameras, Snapchatters are taking 4 billion snaps each and every day, but there's 170 million people engaging with AR every day on Snap. And if you go on to the next slide, the thing that's kind of exciting is if you think about the people doing this, the users of the platform are using the camera kind of like a keyboard. They're using it for experience, they're using it for entertainment and for utility. So whether that's to solve a maths problem or identify a dog. Or if you go on to the next slide, please, you'll see how, like even more recently, through the camera with a brand called Plant Snap, you're actually able to kind of scan a plant that you see, and not only will it tell you what plant it is, but also what you need to do to kind of look after it and kind of care for this plant. So if you move on one more, like the implication of what this kind of means for brands is kind of, you look at this here, this is from a brand called Too Faced Cosmetics, where basically they're now using the barcode on the packaging to launch a Snapchat augmented reality experience where you can actually try on and demo the makeup tutorial on your actual face direct from the product. So think of the potential for utility and experience and kind of the genuine way to actually connect with your audience through the camera. And that was it.
Wow, amazing, within 99 seconds, superb. Lots of questions coming in, so let's go through the ones we can get to, if I can catch my breath. So Mehdi, I think that's how you pronounce it, says, is AR storytelling an underused tactic for brands?
I'd say absolutely. I mean, I think like the familiarity that users now have with augmented reality and the capability of it to extend and deepen a brand story, it's such a huge opportunity. Like look at the brands who kind of lean on audio visual content to tell their story, and that's like great, and you hope that someone's going to watch it and enjoy it. But with augmented reality, you know that they're actually going to play and participate and engage with it. So yeah, immensely powerful opportunity for brands of all kinds to embrace.
Philippa asks, every ad on TV now seems to be shot through a mobile camera. Isn't this getting a bit boring? What do you think of this?
I think it's not getting boring. I think what's exciting is kind of when you look at the way that actually the mobile phone is shifting the way that people are creating. So directors that kind of historically, if you look at my little video, instead of kind of shooting this way and framing this way, they're now framing and telling a story not just this way, but also actually using phone UI in the way to kind of tell and communicate messages. So I think it's a fascinating time in terms of film direction. And I think the next generation of kind of big, phenomenal filmmakers and commercial directors will be doing incredible things through their phones.
Perfect. Question from Susie is, what are you most excited about next year in AR? What are the new big tech leaps we should be looking forward to?
I think it's just almost the embracement that the tech exists, right? The tech is there to do brilliant, wonderful, amazing things that would have felt like science fiction a few years ago. And I think the exciting thing for me now is actually brands recognizing the role and opportunity of the camera within their communications plan, and therefore the explosion of creativity, which is coming through experience and entertainment. But actually the most exciting bit for me probably is how brands leverage utility through the camera and how they can tell kind of different useful stories beyond a campaign, just kind of an always on kind of brand opportunity.
Everyone asks, what do you think the best use of AR is in an integrated campaign across different media?
Great question. I mean, I think like there's lots of different roles that AR can play. And I think more and more it's kind of seeing that ability to take someone from an experience to conversion. So we're seeing a huge opportunity at the moment, particularly in the world and climate that we're in right now, where technology is bridging gaps of kind of conversion and purchase and commerce. And kind of, I think now when you look at your holistic campaign and the multiple media touch points you're planning, like think about where you can do way more than just kind of add a URL to a poster or a link to a website, but actually create something that can build an experience off anything that can pull the user closer to actually that endpoint of purchasing what you are talking to them about.
A question here from Jason has: what is the most useful? What's the most useful use of AR you've seen in marketing for good?
Marketing for good. Well, so I think there's a couple of examples. One is we did something in partnership with the UN a little while ago, which was around water levels. So it was kind of letting you kind of wherever you were in the world look at your environment, and actually you could see if the water levels rose by just a meter, like the difference of that landscape where you were and how that would be. And then also more kind of recently, like we've used AR off the back of COVID-19, where you could scan any banknote in, I think it was about 33 countries. I think you could scan any banknote, and that would kind of prompt you to an experience through the note to actually donate money to the WHO. So, I think again, it's an area of huge opportunity to kind of build experiences that do good. And I think hopefully we'll see a lot more of that in the climate that we're in now.
Amazing. Got one last question. It's from Tim. Tim says, I know it's not really what you do, but what's your view on VR? It's very close to AR.
So, I mean, my view on VR, I mean, there's obviously some phenomenal and amazing things that's possible to create in virtual reality. I think the difference between the kind of the ease of the experience, I think that's the continual battle and challenge for VR over AR is like, people are so comfortable holding phones in their hands and experiencing their world through it and through the camera, that the ability to create an augmented reality experience, it's just so much easier for someone to have that step in. I think as technology continues to evolve and improve, it will create more interesting opportunities where hopefully some of the depth of experience from VR can be leveraged and accessed in an easier way for people.
Perfect. Let's end on one last question. It's a money one. What's the most commercially successful AR experience you've seen?
Wow. What's the most commercially successful? So, I mean, I think like it's fascinating seeing how brands are leveraging them to convert across the scale. So like you'd think, well, it's crazy that you'd use AR to get people through, but actually we've seen great success of kind of sneakers being sold out instantly off the back of kind of an AR drop. So where a shoe's been released in AR first and it's just shot, but actually we've also seen that cars have been ordered after kind of someone's had an augmented reality kind of test drive. So like I think the range and scope of behavior, like it's not a huge barrier for people to actually purchase off the back of AR through their phone. And I think it's relevant across the board for having that kind of huge commercial impact.
David, that's your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Cheers.